Good Friday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for December the 13th. Today we are reading together Psalm 145, the 145th Psalm has been given the title in my Bible, Praising God's Greatness. We are told that it is a hymn of David, and it is the final of a string of 8 hymns of David that are found here towards the back half of the Psalter. From here on out, we just have 5 more Psalms that are all, uh, I guess, fitting into Psalms of praise, pretty cleanly fitting into Psalms of praise. But we will be finishing up this string of Davidic Psalms today. It is a psalm of praise, and I think it would also classify as a royal psalm because it is speaking a great deal about God as king, about his kingdom, and about his rule. And then also there's a note in one of my resources that this is an acrostic psalm. So each of the lines and sections begin with a letter in the Hebrew alphabet, although there is one letter that is missing, the letter nun or noon. So people think maybe there was some mistake with the person who was writing it down or something, but it is basically 99% an acrostic psalm. So with that said, let me go and get the text up on the screen, and we'll read along together here. Psalm 145. Psalm 145, this Davidic psalm speaking about God's greatness, speaking about him being this great and awesome king. Let's read together Psalm 145 in verse number 1. I exalt you, my God the King, and bless your name forever and ever. I will bless you every day. I will praise your name forever and ever. Yahweh is great and is highly praised. His greatness is unsearchable. One generation will declare your works to the next and will proclaim your mighty acts. I will speak of your splendor and glorious majesty and your wondrous works. They will proclaim the power of your awe inspiring acts, and I will declare your greatness. They will give a testimony of your great goodness and will joyfully sing of your righteousness. Yahweh is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and great in faithful love. Yahweh is good to everyone. His compassion rests on all he has made. All you have made will thank you, Yahweh. The faithful will bless you. They will speak of the glory of your kingdom and will declare your might, informing all people of your mighty acts and of the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. Your rule is for all generations. Yahweh is faithful in all his words and gracious in all his actions. Yahweh helps all who fall. He raises up all who are oppressed. All eyes look to you, and you give them their food at the proper time. You open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living being. Yahweh is righteous in all his ways and faithful in all his acts. Yahweh is near all who call out to him, all who call out to him with integrity. He fulfills the desires of those who fear him. He hears their cry for help and saves them. Yahweh guards all those who love him, but he destroys the wicked. My mouth will declare Yahweh's praise. Let every living thing bless his holy name forever and ever. Psalm 145. The psalm starts out with a recognition of Yahweh as the king. And what is important to recognize here, I believe, is the fact that this was written by David. So it should impress us as the readers, recognizing who David is, for him to see and to admit and to acknowledge that the true king is Yahweh. I exalt you, my God, the King. Bless your name forever and ever. I will bless you every day. I will praise your name forever and ever. Though David is the great king of Israel, he submits and lowers himself to exalt the one who he recognizes is the actual king, the one who has superior reign and rule and a superior kingdom that we'll talk about in verses 11 through 13. So if David, being the great king that he is willing to acknowledge there is an even greater king, then the question might become, well, what makes him so great? Verse 3, Yahweh is great and is highly praised. He deserves this praise. His greatness is unsearchable. It's without compare. It is without true comprehension in the human brain. So David's going to talk about it again. What makes him so great? Well, one generation will declare your works to the next. They will proclaim your mighty deeds. So there's part of it. What makes Yahweh great is his mighty deeds, his splendor, his majesty, his wondrous works, the power of his awe-inspiring acts. Again, we'll declare your greatness. So we have a little inclusio there about the greatness of God, and so much of it centers upon the power of God and the deeds that have been carried out by God. Maybe what's in view here is the Exodus, but not just the Exodus, also probably creation itself. Maybe what we are thinking of as well. In what is in view here is the conquest of Canaan and the fact that God brought his people into this land and preserved them, kept them safe from harm, and allowed them to be able to overcome and to overtake those who stood before them and to give them this great land. Maybe those are the things that are in view. Again, anything that shows God's great power, anything that shows his might, are those things that are signs of his greatness. So what is not only David going to do, but what are other generations going to do? Well, they will, the generations will give a testimony about his greatness. They will joyfully sing of his righteousness. And here's David along the way as well, saying that I'm going to do the same. I'm going to speak of your splendor. I am going to declare your greatness. And so will everyone else too. I recognize it. They recognize it. And they cannot help but speak about it. What also makes God great is the fact that he is gracious and compassionate. He's slow to anger, meaning he's patient. He's great in his faithful love. He is loyal to his covenants. He's good to everyone. Just a very general statement that he is good to everyone. His compassion rests on all he has made. He is good to everyone. He is compassionate towards everyone. This is showing him to be a very kind and considerate, warm and loving God. And in fact, all that you have made will thank you, and the faithful will bless you. Why? Because this is the character of this great God. And you would think, whenever you think about grace, whenever you think about compassion, whenever you think about love and goodness, you might think of a king that really, just isn't all that strong. This is not a mighty king. But in fact, whenever David speaks of his kingdom, he speaks of his kingdom in absolute terms. That his kingdom, the glory of his kingdom, is built upon his might and his mighty acts. The gloriousness of his kingdom is seen in the fact that it is an everlasting kingdom, that God's rule is for all generations. So you think about that type of king, you're thinking, man, this is a king that can't be destroyed, that can't be beaten, that's never going to be defeated. And whenever you think about that, you think about it like a hardened king, a ruthless king, a king that will not take no for an answer, a king that's bloodthirsty and violent. But again, whenever this section closes, it speaks about his faithfulness and his graciousness in all of his actions. So it's just so incredible to consider that this God, he is so great because on the one hand, he is so compassionate and kind and loving, but on the other hand, his rule is absolute and his kingdom will not fall. And neither will those who God helps, those who are oppressed, those who look to him for food, those who trust in God, they will not fall either. Verses 14 through 20 talk about God's graciousness toward all, that he is righteous in all his ways and faithful in all of his acts, which should not surprise us since he is great in faithful love from verse number 8. He's near those who call out to him for help, those who call out to him with integrity. He fulfills the desires of those who fear him. He hears the cries of those who recognize that they need his saving. He guards those who love him. So again, compassionate, kind, generous, loving, and gracious. But the second half of verse 20, he does destroy all the wicked. So again, here's a kingdom that will not fall to its enemies, a kingdom that will always stand. So David then concludes with really the way he began. He began by speaking about exalting the name of God, blessing his name, praising his name. He gives all the reasons why. Why should he praise praise the name of God? Well, because he's great, because he's mighty, because he's compassionate, because he's gracious and loving and patient and good. because he helps those who need help, and he shows a willingness to aid those who reach out to him, but he also destroys those who are his opposition, those who strive to stand against him. He destroys them. So my mouth will declare Yahweh's praise. And not only David. Here's the thing about David. David doesn't want to be the only one praising. David's not really much into solos, it seems. He wants to sing and praise along with the rest. So let all living things, let every living thing also bless his holy name forever and ever. I'm going to do this because this is who I recognize Yahweh to be. And you need to do this as well because this is who you need to recognize Yahweh to be. This great God who is so compassionate, who is so loving, who is so mighty, who is so great, who is so loving and faithful. I praise him. Me, the king, I praise him. I recognize his greatness. And you need to recognize his greatness as well. So for us, as we think about it from our Christian context through Christian lenses, we recognize, of course, that these attributes belong to Jesus, that Jesus is our great King, and all these things that have been spoken about from the perspective of Yahweh, they apply equally to Jesus himself being Yahweh. That he too is great. He too has mighty acts. He too has glorious majesty, wondrous works. He is gracious, compassionate, slow to anger. He's great and faithful love. He's good to everyone. He helps those who need help, and he stands up and defeats his enemies. All these things are true of King Jesus. And what a wonderful reality it is to know that this is the King that we serve. So may we rejoice daily in the blessed reality that this is our King. But may we be like David as well and exalt his holy and great name day to day. If you have any questions or comments about Psalm 145, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And thank you for taking some time reading along with me on this Friday. We're looking forward to being together with everyone on Sunday for our Bible studies at 10 and our worship assembly at 11. We're going to continue our study through the Gospel of Mark. We'll be in chapter 15, looking at the trial portion and crucifixion portion of Mark's Gospel. It'll be a very powerful and good study for us to participate in, and I hope that that will be a blessing to us. And we'll pick up again with our read through the Psalter. Only 5 Psalms left. We'll have 3 this next week, and I believe 2 the week after that. Something like maybe 2 and 3. I'll have to go look exactly how I have that laid out. But I will share on Monday. On Monday, I will share our daily Bible reading plan for next year. So be looking out for that coming up on Monday. Speaking of Sunday, though, a minute ago, December 15th, we do have a couple birthdays coming up on Sunday. Miss Carolyn, it is her birthday on Sunday, and also Mr. Jim Pope, it is his birthday on Sunday as well. I know Jim appreciates all the prayers and kindness shown to him while he's not been feeling too good recently, but we do wish a very happy birthday. Speaking of Jim, you can't speak about Jim without Carolyn because Carolyn does such a great service to him, helping Jim out on a regular basis. So we do want to wish a very happy birthday to Carolyn and Jim this upcoming Sunday. Again, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back at it again on Monday. Take care and God bless.